Welcome back, you beautiful people, to the Real Collective podcast. I am Sean Tasse, joined as always by my illustrious, wonderful, and awe-inspiring co-host Kyle Miller. Kyle, how are you doing today?
Living the dream, my friend. Living
Living
the dream.
the dream.
Dream. That's it.
Sometimes it is awe-inspiring, the dream that we are living. It is wonderful. We are blessed to have such an awesome career that we are here working until the day that we go on vacation. And I don't know about you, but before I leave, it's like I got to get all of this stuff done. Kyle's leaving, and you're going out of cell service for a week. How can you survive, man? Because I don't know about you, I check my phone regularly, like too often. Like there's a problem hardwired into me where I'm like, what's my email? What's my email? What's my email?
I've been doing this for 14 years, and I've definitely been at the campground. We go to the same place every year pretty much. And I've been a guy at the campground that's like, I walk from where it's kind of at a point on a lake, and I'll walk from one dock to the other dock trying to see where the cell service comes in because stuff's happening. Like for the first half of my career, I didn't have an assistant, I didn't have a team, and I was a little bit too much of a control freak on my own stuff to like let someone else handle it, like another very competent, capable broker who does more business than me. And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. And so I was always just being that guy. I'd be driving into town every day, trying to get signal, catch up, whatever, and come back. And it's still hard. Still, it'll take me easily 3 days to like, okay, everything's fine, you know. So I'm not good at it. That's the short answer. I'm not good at it.
I'm not either. I always feel like we used to go on vacation. We would go down like down south, and there'd be no signal down south, and so it would be similar to the first 2 days. I'm like tense about what's going on, and I would have 3 days where I'm like, okay, this is good. I'm chill. I'm on a beach. I'm relaxed. Whatever. And then the last 2 days, I'd start to wind myself back up about what's about to happen before I get back. So like, spend a week away to get like 2 days of peace. It's
Get a case of the Mondays starting on Wednesday
right.
of coming down off the week. Wednesday is typically the best. Wednesday and Thursday are the two best days of my vacation.
Yeah.
If I start on a weekend, they're the two best days of vacation because Mondays in our business are just insane, and
Yeah.
that's fine. But that's the first day I'm like, oh, is everything going okay? And then Tuesday I start a little. I'm like, everything's fine. Wednesday I'm like, what? Do I even work? I gotta remember. And then Friday I'm like, oh my god, we're going home on Sunday. I'm like, and I just start to lose it again. And
Yeah.
then it's Monday. And yeah, I'll waste vacations, but I'm learning. And it's the nature. It's the nature of the business. And if my phone is ringing, things are good. So
Yeah.
I have a tough time getting upset about that.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I am absolutely with you. As always, guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this with somebody you think might like this kind of conversation. We're going to actually use this as a perfect segue to talk about what our clients need to do in the summer to take advantage of the summer market. It's more of a buyer's market than a seller's market in the summertime for houses that have been sitting for a while. What can you do to take advantage of what's happening and parlay that into a win for yourself and for our clients? So that's what we'll get into a little bit today, and how you can set yourself up for success and how to watch out for some pitfalls as well while you're on vacation browsing through houses on realtor.ca. You can also download the buyer seller guides below. You can book an appointment with Kyle or I in the Calendly links below. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much for your eyes. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, thank you for your ears. And that's all the paperwork or housekeeping stuff. I'm also headed away, but I'm going to the cottage, and every time I go to the cottage, I try and go for longer. But it's a working vacation, so everybody knows that I'll be jumping on Zoom calls. You guys have seen a few of these episodes coming out from the cottage. So yeah, that's more my style because that's how I operate. There's days where my family's like, "What have you been doing for the first half of the day?" I'm like, well, I took the dog for a walk, and I took her for 50 minutes, and while those 50 minutes I was on the phone the whole time, and I came back, and yeah, you came back, we didn't see you. Yep, because I was sitting outside on the phone, I didn't want to bother you. And so now my 2-year-old daughter will pick up, she's like, people are like, oh, what are you doing? She'll take the phone and say, I'm working. and she'll put the phone and I'm just like, okay, well, this is what I do for work. I talk
This
on
is the
the phone.
thing. This
Yep.
is the thing now.
This is what work is, talking on the phone. I mean, look, this is working, right? This is working, doing some sort of manual stuff. Our job is just, it seems, talking and some paperwork, stuff like that. So yeah, it's all good. We we're having fun. So yeah, I'd say the main thing I wanted to hit on for the first half here is a little bit of talk about how clients can set themselves up for success when they are buying a home, especially in the summer, because it's littered with vacations, right? This is what we're talking about. If the client's not going on vacation, the agent's going on vacation, the broker's going on vacation, the lawyer's going on vacation, someone's going away because you want to enjoy time with your family. It's the summertime. This is what it's all about, right? So how can you do that? So I'll give you an example. Yesterday, showed a property to a client at 11:30 who was getting on a plane at 5. They saw a house and they're like, "What do you think we should do?" I'm like, "Well, if you like it, you should buy it." "Well, we're getting on a plane." "Well, here's the inspection report. You can also do your own inspection. Here's what they're going to find. It's all the stuff that's in the report. You can submit an offer, which is conditional on home inspection and financing, and we can fulfill all of those conditions while you're gone. You've already got your financing lined up. You've already got everything lined up. So we can we can take a swing at it if you want, or if you don't want to, that's okay. But they already have everything lined up. So like, okay, well, we're going to call our broker. We're going to loop back around. We're going to look at the inspection report and we'll reach out and tell you what we want to do. So they can buy it. They're on vacation, right? Everything is set for them potentially to do it. And the question is, are they gonna? I don't know. We'll see. See what happens.
Yeah, the key there is, like, if you asked me directly, you didn't. But if you did, said this is, you can go buy on vacation, I'd tell you you're crazy. Like, don't do it. Straight up, I'd say don't do it. Now, because I'm the guy that will ruin your vacation if you are not prepared,
Right. That's it.
right?
There it is.
That those people sound prepared, right? The documents are in, financing's pretty much ready to go. We are just trying to find the last piece of the puzzle, which was the house.
Yeah.
We happen to find it when we were already planning on going away. That can happen when you're actively in the market.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you want to be prepared for that. If you're going on vacation, if you have a vacation booked, ready, and you are in the market for a home, you need to be prepared.
Yeah.
The worst thing that I see is people who are like sitting on a beach somewhere in January and all of a sudden just get the itch and are like, I was on MLS on the Wi-Fi and now I want to go look at this house, and then get mad when I'm like, well, I need all these documents. Like, well, I'm on vacation. I'm like, that's not my problem. Like, you're the one that called me. I didn't call you being like,
if you're
you know
on
what I
vacation,
mean?
put your fucking phone down. Stop looking at houses. Enjoy. You got a beach right in front of you. What are you looking at?
Like, what do you like? Yeah, like,
For?
what are you doing? And that's the thing. I have two minds, right? Like, those people are in the market. They're not going to stop their life completely. And again, it just so happens that now they're getting on a plane at 5 and at 11 they see a house,
Yeah.
but they're prepared, so they can deal with that, and they've accepted that. It's the thought. I have this feeling that, like, people, again, the HGTV stuff of,
Yeah.
like, how exciting real estate is, and
Yeah.
it's balling to be on a beach and being like, I bought a house down here while I was on the beach. I'm like, you wasted your vacation. You wasted it.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're not prepared, don't play the game, because I'll ruin it. I will ruin it. I'll ruin your
Well,
vacation.
here's
Not
the
on
thing.
purpose,
No,
but I'll
but
ruin it.
it's not even you. They're ruining it for themselves. Here's the other thing. It always happens. You go and rent a cottage for a week and you have such a good time and you're there and you're up there and you're like, man, I wonder if we could get a cottage. And
Yep.
they look and, oh yeah, on the drive from wherever the cottage is to into town, they drive by and there's a for sale sign. They look it up. You know what? Let's buy that cottage. Let's buy it. Let's do it. Let's go see it. Right. And they call up their realtor friend, hey, why don't you drive 2 hours to show us this cottage? Or
Yeah,
they call
come
the
check this
realtor,
out.
right. Or they call the realtor's name is on the sign and say, hey, can you show us this cottage? In reality, the realtor who's listed that cottage lives 2 hours away anyways. He's like, no, who
Yeah.
are you? Right. So
here's the lockbox. Go check it out. Or not. Sorry,
yeah,
can't do that. Don't do that.
yep. Don't do that. Don't do that
Bad.
unless you have signed consent from both parties.
Thank you. So anyway,
Yeah, yeah, don't do that. Or you find a local realtor who you know what you do. You go to the local casse-croûte or the local chip stand, and
yeah,
the pinup board at the chip stand, you get that realtor's name. That guy lives close by,
yeah,
right?
guaranteed.
Yeah, yeah, and he'll show up. He'll show up on a boat to show you the place, and you'll come in for the road, and he'll show up on the boat. Hey, where are you? I'm right here on the dock. Oh, okay. It's so yeah, I guess the key again, this goes back to an episode we covered earlier. The key is in the preparation, right? It always is. It's the preparation, knowing, hey, this is going to help you out. This is going to be able to put you in a place where you get to take advantage of this market. And we tell people the best two markets to buy in. Number one is winter. When everyone is looking at buying Christmas presents, go buy yourself a house because no one else is looking at buying houses. The second best time is right now, summertime. By the time this episode launches, maybe by the time you watch this, maybe even too late. Right? This episode is going to launch a week from now. It's going to be 2 weeks before school starts or 2 weeks before September. And a lot of people are thinking their whole focus is on back to school, getting shoes for the kids and all the accoutrements that you need. Very French with my takes today. Um, but yeah, that when everyone else is looking at doing something else, if you're looking at buying a house, you have a lot less competition. So we saw a house yesterday, single house in Orleans, in a nice neighborhood, listed for 500 grand, 499, and all finished.
Wow.
Probably worth, yeah, all finished in a nice neighborhood too, down in the wine district. All finished would probably sell for, I'm gonna say 800, listed for 500. And I told the client, I'm like, you can probably buy this for like 530 right now. It's in bad shape. It needs like a lot of love on the inside, but the
Oh, okay.
location's great.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
you've got a good lift there. Probably sell to a flipper. Um, but yeah, it was not the right house for them. But
But I'll say this though, there is a difference between buying a house, like going through the inspections and virtual tours and all that stuff while on vacation, and closing while on vacation,
yes, yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's where people really have to pay attention,
yeah,
right? Just because the technology exists that says we can do this stuff virtually, which you can, there are rules and between the line things
yeah,
that are not going to be fun to do or even possible while you are away and out of the country specifically,
yeah.
right? Just because you can do it doesn't mean it's allowed to be done.
Right.
And that's a key factor. Key
Yeah.
factor. I had a lawyer reach out to me today asking if the lender is okay with doing a remote signing. And the client, they're literally the lawyer and the client are in Ottawa. But the client's just like, it's way more convenient to just do this from my home. And so like, let's go.
Yeah.
Right. But they gotta ask. So the lawyer's asking. And before people say, like, no, that's not true. I can tell you right now, still has the Big Green Bank still has certain documents that they need to feel has been an ink signature. So like, okay, it doesn't matter that you don't agree with it. That's their rule. It's their money. Those who have the money make the rules.
That was my
So before,
that was my symbol for touchdown.
yeah, there it
In
is.
case for those of you who are not watching.
So
Yeah,
it's still there. You can't make that assumption. You need to ask those questions.
you know what? The technology that we developed during COVID has really helped us. It's really helped us come a long way. But there's still
Yeah.
things we've got to overcome for sure. We can see properties virtually. We can do inspections virtually. We can do signings, document signings virtually. So it makes our job, we're able to do a lot faster. But it still is, there, like you say, there's still challenges to overcome. So we'll talk a little bit about the stories that we have from the past week in the second half. And if there's anything else specific to how to buy remotely and how to do it properly, we'll unpack that a little bit more as well in the second half after a word from our illustrious sponsors. And until the second half, we'll see you. This episode of the Real Collective podcast is brought to you by Real Collective Marketing, the marketing agency that specializes in the unique needs and budgets of small to medium sized businesses. We provide turnkey marketing solutions that get results. We become an extension of your team and act as your virtual marketing department, designing and implementing cost effective strategies that will help grow your business. You can find out more today at www.realcollectivemarketing.ca. Now, here's your hosts, Sean and Kyle. Welcome back, you beautiful people, to the second half of the Real Collective podcast. Hope you enjoyed that wonderful word from our sponsors. You can always hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share this with someone who you think might like this conversation. You can also download the buyer or seller guides below or schedule an appointment with Kyle or I in the Calendly links. You can also, tomorrow afternoon. There we go. I'm reading text messages while also doing this. I should have put my phone on silent. So thank you very much for your attention as we give you little of it. What we do give you is story time with Sean and Kyle. Deals that we put together. I had a neat one that happened this week where selling a condo. Property was conditional on finance inspection and condo status certificate review. They were all supposed to be due by tomorrow, but they were able to fulfill them yesterday, which made for a nice day. My clients were buying a house on the Quebec side, so selling a condo here and upgrading because he works remotely and she works like in Quebec at archives or something like that. So it's like close to where she works. Anyways, they were buying a house that was conditional on the sale of, they wouldn't allow them to buy a house conditional on the sale of this house, but now that their conditions are fulfilled, their offer was accepted within 15 minutes of knowing that the conditions were fulfilled. So they were able to sort of line those two things up at the same time. And after the inspection, the buyers came through and they had a bunch of different questions. So they went through, did the inspection, reviewed the status certificate and said, hey, we noticed that there was some work done here, some electrical work. Can you provide us with an ESA certificate? Well, it's in a condo, so pigtailing in the condo was done by the condo, not done by the occupants. So the occupants didn't have the ESA certificate, but the condo did. So they were able to provide that document, which is good. Another thing they were asking about post inspection was the hood fan and whether it vented into the unit or out of the unit. And they're like, oh, there's a pipe going out of the unit so that it can vent out of the unit, but they're venting the hood fan microwave back into the unit. Can you fix that? Like, actually, yes. You just have to twist the thing around so it points outwards instead of points inwards. So that was really, really easy. And the last one was in the bathroom, there was a vent going outside, like a shower vent. They're like, oh, that's an old fan. It's not really sucking up the humidity from the bathroom and bringing it out. And so I asked the clients, they said, well, that's actually the condos. And so it does work. We don't get moisture or humidity in the bathroom, but you can't increase the speed because it screws up the ratio for the rest of the units in here. So it works, but you won't be able to change it out for a different one. So that was interesting. I've never had that as a comeback on an inspection. And the other real kicker was they were doing renovations on the parking spots. So the underground garage is going to be out of use. Now there's 3 towers that share management company. And the middle of the 3 towers was going to be going through an underground garage renovation, meaning that they would lose their parking spot for X amount of time. And the solution was, here's 6 months of parking at $100 a month. So we'll reduce the purchase price by $600. And we guarantee that we will find you somewhere to park your car during the course of renovations. That was
Wow.
it. Yeah. So
See, I like those when they become creative like that and people are accepting of it. Like it's not the end of the world, which is good.
well, I mean, here's the thing. In reality, the unit that we were selling should have sold over 3, right? It looked nice. It was good. Most of those properties were selling in the 310, 315 range. We were up against, who we were up against, and we knew we wanted to get sold. And so we said, look, let's just put it for 299 and be the best deal going. And we sold it for 295 and then took off $600 and everybody's happy. Like the clients are happy. I did the math, right? Did the purchase price and I did the increase in value. And I said, here, math says that that you're probably worth about 280 based on what you bought it for, and what's happened in the market since you bought it. Little tiny condo, like nothing very expensive, but the math says you're worth 280. We're going to try and get you more, right? We're not going to price it for 279.9. We're going to price it for 299. And there was the other units in there justify that was the best deal going. And when you've got a lot of competition, it's important that as a seller, you're the best deal going. Because what happens is if you're not and you're just the same as everybody else, it doesn't cause people to make a decision, right? So the psychology behind how people buy things, they want to buy, and they're motivated to buy and actually do something, make a decision about something that is the best deal going. So if you portray yourself as the best deal going, then you're going to be the first one that sells. And if you don't, all you're doing is helping someone else sell their house. So that's what we did, right? We positioned ourselves appropriately, and the market absorbed this property. Now the other ones are still sitting there, not selling. So, being creative, finding a way forward, figuring out, okay, well, what's the problem and how do we solve it? Because originally, the first time home buyer that was buying this place was like, oh, well, I want you to get an ESA certificate. I want you to change out the fan. I want you to change the hood fan. I want you to do this, 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 and this. Like, whoa, hang on a second. Let's answer some of these questions before we get into the money that we're going to spend. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Now it's just a little, okay, well, here's $600 off, and we'll find you a parking spot. And we're going to come to them with a list of like, here's 4 different places you can park. You can park here. Here's how much it's going to cost. You can park here. Here's how much it's going to cost here or here. There's your choices. It's up to you. We guaranteed that we would have somewhere for you to park. Here's 4 different places that you can choose to park. It's up to you, right? Because what are we going to go and order a parking spot for them? The closing is in like a month, but they're not going to need parking for another 2, 3, 4, 5 months. So here's the list. We've done the research. Here you go. Thanks very much. See you later.
Are they? This is now these sellers. They're the ones moving to Quebec?
Correct. Yeah.
Are they closing the same day?
Good question. I don't think so. They asked about how to line up like the purchase of their place. I told them to make it so that they close their new place before their old one, but I don't know. That'll be up to however they do. Why? I feel like you're about to tell me something to be cognizant of.
Yeah, Quebec is a different country when it comes to real estate,
Yep.
right? And I don't mean that negatively towards Quebec. But it is. So if you're trying to do bridge financing, you're definitely going to want to make sure that the lender they're with operates in both provinces and allows that bridge financing. Because as much as it's easier to do in theory, it can be completely impossible. Like going back the other way, for example, if you are selling in Quebec to buy in Ontario, you cannot close same day. Like literally impossible to close same day because of their rules over there in terms of when title gets transferred. And this is speaking from bad experience. That's why I know this.
Right.
Because I tried to help clients do that, and I was just like, oh my God. We couldn't do it. And we didn't know because we just didn't know. And we figured that out the hard way. So you want to make sure that works, because as convenient as it is for you, again, nobody cares. We care, but the system doesn't care. The system just works the way it works.
Right.
So they need to check if they can bridge across province and time. Yeah, cross the bridge across the bridge. And make sure, because that'll mess up everything.
I think really what might be happening is the closing on their place is quick, like it's within a month. And I think they're going to be closing on their place in Quebec after. So they're going to be living somewhere in the interim. Like they might go back home and visit family for a week or whatever, XYZ, live there for a little bit, put their stuff in storage, and then line it up that way.
Perfect.
That's yeah.
It's different. It's different when it's same province. I just experienced this with a client of mine going to BC, and right. they had offset their closing dates by a day. Right, they were going to have their money and they were closing the next day because they're literally in transit. This comes right back to buying on vacation, or running this scenario where they were in Ontario, moving to BC. So they had to close. And they were closing on a Wednesday. in Ontario and then closing on a Thursday in BC. And lawyers had to be aware because money had to transfer from trust accounts. These guys were in transit the entire time. So they had to make sure all their docs were signed for closing like well over a week ago.
Yeah.
And then do the virtual closing from the BC to go like it's coordinated. It's a coordinated effort, and then interprovincially at that. Not to mention they were military, so a bunch of numbers show up because certain military, when you're moving, the military pays for a pile of it.
That's
But
right.
it's a coordinated effort, man. It's a coordinated effort.
We've had a couple military transfers coming into Ottawa within the last say, month or so, and like the closing happens like while they're driving from like Colorado Springs up to Ottawa, and it's like, oh wow, like that's a big move, you know. So it's yeah, it's definitely these military people, like it's coordinated. It is definitely like
Yeah.
organized. That's a big thing to drive across country. I got three young kids, man. I'm not trying to put anybody in a car and drive for that long. Like drive to the cottage for an hour and 45 minutes is a lot. Like they are yelly in the car for that short period of time. So imagining like a road trip where it's like a long drive, or like we've talked about renting an RV and driving like a long distance. No, thank you. Not right now.
RVs are different. RVs are going to be different. We took the kids down to Florida. My daughter was 6 months and my son was 9 years old, I guess.
Yeah.
And he did like we had a Yukon at the time, and like TV flipped down, and he was just like he was 9 with a hand bottle with his sister, just like there, feed that, and they watched TV for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, but when we were talking about preparation and we were talking about like closing when you're on vacation and stuff, it flips into I had a client try to do 2 deals this year. Actually, they were refinancing in December and they were totally ready to sell. Problem was they were international. They worked for the government internationally, and trying to coordinate that because of legalities was crazy. And we got it done because they happened to fly home for Christmas, had everything ready, signed while they were here, so it's all legit and like on Canadian soil and rah rah rah. There used to be, and someone out there might say, yeah, but we used to be able to go to an embassy, and that's considered Canadian soil.
Right.
That's not necessarily the case anymore. They don't consider that anymore. So that becomes a thing in itself. But anyways, now they were in the process of trying to buy, and while they're on their way home, because they should be, I think they're back now, and they wanted to have a new purchase in place in time for the kids to go to school.
Yeah.
And just all of that.
Yeah.
All of that was just nuts. They couldn't sell their house in time, and they decided they didn't want to roll the dice to not have their house sold and have this other one firm, and it was all crazy. But that's again, it's that not having boots on the ground, international is just, and interprovincial, all of that.
It's possible. It's possible, but it's hard. And you know what? We're coming into, by the time this goes up, it's going to be middle of the month. We still have people who are looking for an address so they can put their kids in a school in a particular school district. Like, you better get your shit together, people. Like, buy a house. If you want to be in a certain location, get it going. Like, you should have been doing this months ago, right? But this is what happens. It is what it is. We keep on keeping on. Yeah, I think it's a good place to wrap it. I think we've covered all the stuff we need to cover. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Until as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share this with someone who you think might like this conversation. You can also download the buyer seller guides below. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Watch us on YouTube, and you can also book an appointment in the Calendly links with either Kyle or I directly. And until next time, keep it real.
Collective.